Hi, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Monday, November 10th, 2025. Ray McGovern will be with us in just a minute. Will Russia aid Venezuela when the U.S. attacks? But first this. History tells us every market eventually falls. Currencies collapse. And look at where we are now. 37 trillion in national debt. Stocks at record highs defying gravity. So what happens next? Groceries, gas, housing, everything's going up. And this dollar, it buys less every day. When the system breaks, your stocks won't save you and your dollars won't either. But one thing will: gold. I've said it on my show for years. Gold survives collapse. Central bankers know this and billionaires know it. That's why they're buying more. Is it too late to buy, or is it just the right time? Call my friends at Lear Capital to find out. Ask questions, get the free information. There's no pressure, and that's why I buy my gold and silver from Lear. And right now, you can get up to $20,000 in bonus metals with a qualified purchase. Call 800-511-4620 or go to LearJudgeNap.com today. Ray McGovern, welcome here, my dear friend. I want to talk to you about the comments made by President Putin and Foreign Minister Lavrov about the New START treaty. And I want to talk to you, of course, about your views and observations about whether or not Russia will aid Venezuela if and when the U.S. attacks. But before we get there, how do you think the intel community, your former colleagues, feels about Al-Jilani, of all monsters, in the Oval? You knew I was going to go there, Ray. In the Oval Office today.
You know, Judge, I pride myself on being part of the realistic school of international relations. But my God, I also have a moral sense. And head choppers in the White House, it just offends me, right? And all we need now is a joint session of Congress like they had for Zelensky, and have Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris, give me an American flag and all. Come on, give me a break. The guy's a head chopper. Oh, we removed the reward that was going to be given to somebody leading to his arrest. Give me a break. I mean, Putin did the same thing. I guess the realist school of international relations should allow for that, but it still hurts.
Yeah, I mean, not only a head chopper, but a guy who commanded militias that killed or tried to kill. I don't know if there's evidence that his people actually literally did so, but they certainly fought against American troops.
Yeah. Well, they were advisors.
I'm not a fan of David Petraeus, neither are you, but I don't think Petraeus locked them up for nothing.
Well, yeah, when you mentioned Petraeus, you saw that sycophantic interview of Rolani at the UN with Petraeus saying, how do you sleep at night? You just made a tremendous recovery here. I'm in awe of you. Oh my God. Here's the guy that locked them up for terrorism.
Yeah, it was terrible. Look, they got a Brooks Brothers style suit on him. He shaved his beard.
Extra large.
No, he's still killing Christians. He's still killing Alawites. Mm-hmm. He's still slaughtering innocent people because of their ethnic and religious backgrounds. Totally unacceptable anywhere in the world. Why are we releasing sanctions on these people? Why is the president embracing them? I don't know what the president's going to say. This hasn't happened yet. I don't even know when it's scheduled for, except that it's today. It's 10 in the morning here on the East Coast of the United States. This is going to happen sometime in the next 8 hours.
Well, Israel likes them. I mean, what more do you need to say? Rolani is sort of cooperating there, and that's the whole name of the game in Syria. Would we be involved in Syria without the Israeli fact? Of course not. Iraq? No, of course not. Libya? Of course not. So, this is all laid out, and the Israel lobby and Netanyahu pretty much have a corner on our policy making there. And if they say Rolani is okay, and the Turks say, well, we could work with them too. Oh, right. receive him in the White House. Give me a break.
Do you think, Ray, that Donald Trump is free to drop his zealous Zionism, or did he pretty much tell the Knesset in the presence of Mrs. Adelson, not dropping it at all, not as long as this lady keeps funding me?
Judge, that was so painful to watch. I mean,
Yeah.
he said she's probably, in effect, she's probably more loyal to Israel than she is to the United States, but she gives me a lot of money, and so we're good. We're just good. Well, what about me, Trump? Am I more loyal to Netanyahu than the interests of the United States? Well, see what I'm doing. I'm supporting genocide and forced starvation, for God's sake. How about that? Give me a break.
Wow. I'm just going to jump back to al-Jawlani, who, of course, now goes by Ahmad al-Sharaa, Sharaa. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. You're the expert on how to pronounce these names. But anyway, NBC reports just a few minutes ago, interim president Ahmad al-Sharaa, that's al-Jawlani, is expected during his visit Monday to commit to joining the U.S.-led coalition to defeat ISIS, two officials told NBC News. Didn't he used to be ISIS?
Yeah, he was ISIS, and then when they changed their name to al-Nusra, it was al-Nusra, but it was still ISIS, for God's sake. This is it would be funny if it were not so serious. I mean, it was the CIA in eastern Syria. It was the U.S. military in northern Syria that trained all these guys. Now, they made a big distinction in those days between moderate terrorists, right, and the really bad terrorists, okay? Well, Jawlani didn't even qualify to be a moderate terrorist. He was one of the really bad guys. And they showed pictures of his people chopping off heads. Well, welcome to the White House, Jawlani, or whatever you changed your name to.
This is the first visit by a Syrian president since Syria to the White House since Syria gained its independence in 1946, just a few days after this gentleman, I use the word loosely in this case, was removed from, Syria was removed from the sanctions list, and he was removed from the terrorism blacklist. The $10 million bounty was removed a while ago, not too long ago. Unbelievable. MI6 and CIA, there's no moral compass. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. They're free to do whatever they want. Back to President Trump. I don't know that he is free to drop his zealous Zionist ways. I don't know if the deep state would allow them to do that. I think he's pretty much locked in with these people, don't you?
Yeah, and I think he probably doesn't fully understand what that means. If he's given Netanyahu the impression that Netanyahu can do whatever the hell he wants, again, with respect to Iran or elsewhere, I mean, that's very, very pernicious. That's very dangerous. Judge, I brought it out. Trump is not his own man on Ukraine or on relations between the United States and Russia either. Now, that has been coming very much to the fore. Lavrov, Peskov, who else? This fellow Dmitry Trenin, who's an advisor, a close advisor to people who matter in Russia. He said, look, we're not sure that Trump can work apart from his European allies or those people that hate Russia inside Washington. And I was thinking back to the Anchorage summit. Do you remember how it ended when Trump says, we agreed to have another summit, and Putin says in English, next time in Moscow?
Yes, I do remember that.
Do you remember Trump's reaction? Well, that would be problematical. I'd have to work on that, I mean, how much clearer could it be? They made this pretense that everything went rosy in Anchorage, and then the next summit was sort of routine. And when Putin says at Moscow next time, Trump just sort of forgets to put on the veneer, and he says, "Oh my God, I don't know." Well, what's his problem? The people in Washington, like Rubio, like Kellogg, the
Yeah,
people in Europe, like, well, the
we
cat.
still don't have a full staff. I mean, I drove past just 3 weeks ago the U.S. Embassy in Moscow. It's enormous. It's gargantuan. Maybe 10 or 15 people working there. There should be 1,000. We still don't have a staff there. I don't know what the status of the Russian embassy is in D.C. Didn't Biden seize the real estate? I don't know, but they're not operating. In other words, as sanguine as you and Larry Johnson and I and the others that monitor these things were after Anchorage, even the first few steps haven't really happened yet. I thought the embassies would be open. Although apparently, we're going to hear in a few minutes from Lavrov. Apparently, he and Rubio from time to time do talk, which is more than you could say for Tony Blinken.
That's what the Lavrov always ends up by saying. Look, Secretary Rubio and I continue to talk. We continue to explore ways, but, says Lavrov, I'm a little frustrated. We can't even get back our property, our diplomatic property that Obama confiscated on his way out. Why did he do that? That was illegal. And if we can't even agree on that, much less direct flights between New York or New Jersey and Moscow, it's going very slow, but it's going, and we can wait. We're waiting for a response, and this is a biggie. We're waiting for a response on Putin's offer 7 weeks ago to keep the quantitative limits on the New START treaty, which expires on February 5th. There's no talk now. There's no possibility of renegotiating that treaty. What Putin suggested, again, 7 weeks ago, September 22nd, was, look, let's just keep the quantity. There are 1,550 warheads on ICBMs, Sea-launched ballistic missiles, and the bombers. Okay, let's keep those. Okay, let's just agree to keep them for another year. Now, when Lavrov had this staged interview yesterday with Novosti, he said, "Look, we're still waiting for an official response from Washington." Now, that's a really diplomatic way of saying that guy over there in the White House said, "Oh, I think that's a good idea." Oh, that's not enough for us. We want an official response. It's very easy, very uncomplicated, easy to understand. Will they respond or not? Now, if he doesn't, then the only inference that Putin and the others can make is that, he's really not his own man, or he's taking us down the garden path. Either way, it's really, really bad. We think he's not his own man, so let's wait it out. We're winning in Ukraine. Things are going to go our way eventually. We got 3 more years to deal with this guy. He's probably better than anybody else. So let's be patient. And that's the Russian attitude to all this. And one other thing, Judge, it became very clear from what Lavrov said that one of the agreements coming out of Alaska was that Trump had undertaken to make sure that he talked to Zelensky and told him cold turkey, okay? And that, as Lavrov said, that Zelensky would not be able to sabotage this new arrangement where we can bring peace to Ukraine. Well, what happened? That was one of the agreements. So when you talk about the agreements or the understanding reached in Anchorage, people forget that not only did Trump give on an immediate ceasefire, we're going to go for the whole enchilada, he said, but also, don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of Zelensky. I'm going to tell him, look, the jig is up. We're not giving you any money. The Europeans don't have any money to give you. Forget about it. Well, for some reason, and the Russians are probably equally confused as I am, for some reason, somebody else prevailed, Kellogg, Rubio, or the Europeans, and we saw this zigzag stuff from Trump. And yet, as Lavrov did yesterday, the the attitude is, okay, we can wait. We know he's got real problems with these allies and with these Russophobes in Washington. We can wait it out here. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian army is being destroyed as we speak.
Here's exactly what you were referring to. President Putin, comment by Carolyn Levitt, the White House spokesperson, and agreement by President Trump. We played this a month ago, but it's from around that time period you're discussing 7 weeks ago. Chris, cut number 5.
After February 5th, 2026, Russia is prepared to continue adhering to the central quantitative limits of the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty for 1 year. Going forward, based on an analysis of the situation, we will make a decision if we continue adhering to these voluntary self-limitations. We believe this measure will only be viable if the United States acts in a similar manner.
The president is aware of this offer extended by President Putin, and I'll let him comment on it later. I think it sounds pretty good, but he wants to make some comments on that himself, and I will let him do that.
President Putin offers to keep limits on nuclear arms for 1 more year to then hopefully negotiate a new treaty. Sounds like a good idea to me.
Sounds like a good idea to me. And I don't know what happened since then, but here's Foreign Minister Lavrov in the interview you're referring to. We just have his answer. We don't have the question, but you can tell what the question was from the answer, Chris, number 6.
The constructive initiative put forward by President Vladimir Putin in the post-New START context speaks for itself. It contains no hidden agenda and is perfectly clear for understanding. Its practical implementation would not require any special additional efforts. Therefore, we do not consider it necessary to hold in-depth discussions on this proposal. The only thing required is reciprocity from the United States. We will voluntarily adhere to the restrictions only if, and precisely for as long as, the other side does the same. Naturally, should the Americans have any questions, they are free to raise them with us. So far, there has been no substantive response from Washington. We have been informed through diplomatic channels that the issue is under consideration. We have no intention of keeping persuading anyone. We believe that our step serves the interests of both parties and the entire international community. We are ready for any development of events while hoping for a positive outcome.
There be reciprocity from the United States, Ray McGovern.
Yeah, it's there's a steelness behind this. We're ready for anything. In other words, we're making this overture, but we're not the demandeur. We're not beseeching this. We'll take care of things. Remember Budoviesnik. Remember Poseidon. Now, that comes to a point which is really important. Was Trump blissfully unaware of the development of Budoviesnik in Poseidon, maybe even Oreshnik, before Oreshnik took out a whole factory there in Ukraine? I dare say I have to believe that he may have not been informed of this. And so if you have Biden and Trump both served by a bottleneck as a national security advisor, both of them, okay? Jake Sullivan and now Rubio himself, well, they can prevent this. Let me give you one other example, which we were the first to point out. 2 years ago, the North Koreans tested a very advanced Russian ICBM called Topol-M. Hwasong 18 is what the North Koreans call it. Capability to reach any spot in the United States, including Mar-a-Lago, okay? The whole schmear, very bells and whistles, all kinds of decoys, the most modern, next to the most modern thing that the Russians, they gave it to North Korea. Surprised the hell out of me. What happens? Ted Postal gets an article posted in a very prestigious magazine. Jake Sullivan is asked, do you know about this? He says, yeah, well, we know about that. We're going to, we have our intelligence people looking at that. After that, Zippo. Did they tell the president? Did they tell the president that that the Russians and the North Koreans now have a mutual defense treaty by which the North Koreans help the Russians in Ukraine. And if the balloon goes up, you have not only to worry about Russia, China, but Russia's ally, military ally, North Korea, which has this missile, a couple of them now, I think. So, in other words, is the president being informed about these? I doubt it, because why else would he say when Burovesnik was tested? Okay, oh, we're going to do the same. We're going to have nuclear tests. Oh, Mr. President, these aren't nuclear tests. These are missile tests. And this missile is quite something. Let me tell you about it. But he doesn't understand these things. And that's partly because probably Rubio doesn't understand these yet. To the extent he understands them, he's keeping this information hidden from the president.
Very, very interesting observation. Let me just jump to Venezuela before we finish, Ray. Do you think Russia will come to the aid of Venezuela in some respect if and when the United States invades?
Well, I'm hopeful that that Trump has now read the Veteran Intelligence Professionals for Sanity memo, which, if he digests, he would never try to invade Venezuela. In answer to your question, yes, they will respond in some way. It will include military support. Will they send their navy into the Caribbean? I don't think so, not just yet. But it's not only Russia, it's China. China's got an even bigger investment in Venezuelan oil. And the Chinese are, the world has changed, Judge. It's not clear that Trump understands this, but Russia and China can plan collectively to include the rest of BRICS. Venezuela is a member of BRICS. Okay, it's not a military alliance, but that doesn't matter when you have one of your members being openly attacked in advance, advertised in advance. So my answer to your question is yes, Russia is going to react. So is China. Will they send their fleets into Caribbean waters? No, but they'll send all kinds of missilery, all kinds of air defense missilery, and whatever else would be necessary. That's why I think, and I hope dearly, that Trump gets the message. This would be his Vietnam. It would be the end of any progress he could make on any other foreign issue.
Here's somebody in Trump's cabinet who obviously did not read the memorandum from VIPS. Cut number 4.
We're not just buying something. We're solving life and death problems for our warfighters. We're not building for peacetime. We are pivoting the Pentagon and our industrial base to a wartime footing. Building for victory should our adversaries FAFO.
I don't know why he uses this language, FAAFO, and I don't know why he has to sound so pugnacious. I wonder how the troops react to that.
That's the big question. The head of South Command, an admiral, quit after he was ordered to authorize these attacks on these fast boats. I think there's 70 people now killed in those attacks. He quit. Okay, it was just a year or so in office or in command. Now, that should be some kind of example to others. These are acts of aggression. There is a Nuremberg precedent. Will they be held responsible? Can they say, "Oh, we were only following orders"? You're following orders? I don't think so. So I hope there's more dissent within the ranks. The generals and the admirals who heard Hegseth prance about and brag about making war and stuff just several weeks ago, I don't think they were very impressed by him. But by the same token, they're the people who bubble to the top by saluting smartly, and no matter how crazy the idea was, a yes, sir, to the next person in command.
Agreed with everything you just said. Thank you, my dear friend. Great conversation, Ray. I really enjoyed it, and I know the viewers did as well. And we'll look forward to seeing you at the end of the week with the youngster, Mr. Johnson. Thank you, Ray. All the best.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, and Larry Johnson will be here at 11:30 this morning. And at 1:05 this afternoon from Tehran, Professor Mohammad Marandi. Judge Napolitano for Judging Freedom.